Ladies and gentlemen, it is one of the biggest slates of NCAA basketball season. We're going to go over that. We got NBA slate, which is decent size. NHL is a decent size. We got your game lines. We got your player props. And we even got some extra sports for you. The Hall of Famer has to have. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Keep patient. And let's lock it in. Let's get it. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on in to Lock It In. My name is Tanner Dawson on the Rec Room Sports Hub here. Joining me, of course, is Alan Perales and Scott Cobe. Guys, what's up? What's happening?
Where's football? I thought we were getting football today. What the heck's going on?
No football. No football here.
Listen, today is probably, if with no football, it's still a great day of betting. And a great.
Is there a prop for flag football? Is that a thing? Or?
I don't know about you guys, but I have zero interest in the Pro Bowl. Haven't seen nothing about it. Don't really care. Forgot he was even going on, to be honest with you. Kind of did it with the Senior Bowl, right? It's going on.
Yep.
Senior Bowl hasn't been bad. Senior Bowl stuff hasn't been bad. There's been a lot of guys that have come out of nowhere from that. So.
Yeah, no, I've literally.
If you're like me and Sam and do mock drafts, this Senior Bowl is like the best time of the year.
Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'm not doing mock drafts of this part of the season.
I know I'm going to be doing my first one.
Is that because
I'm doing my first one after the Super Bowl? So don't worry about that. I'm doing my first one after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I have not been in mock draft season until March 1st. So that's generally when you're going to get me. Now, I've had my years where I'll look ahead and stuff, of course. But, I mean, look at that guy. See that guy behind me on that box? There's a reason why I don't look at mock drafts and NFL draft stuff, okay?
That guy, is he playing next week? Is there a game next week?
I think so. I heard he's questionable with an ankle injury, high ankle sprain, and it's just the time we love it. No, I'm kidding. I don't think he started at all, but I like to I like to have ankle sprain Mahomes better than the regular Mahomes. So
Tanner, you realize I'm going for Kansas City, right? I'm not.
I know, which I did not appreciate some of your takes on Tuesday night.
I mean, a lot of that was just stuff I found out. But at the same time,
what are you reading?
I would rather
ML football. Like what post are we reading?
I would rather go for Kansas City because I hate the Eagles with a burning passion.
Hey Tanner, listen, my Patriots had this going on for a while. Everybody take all the shots you want. We'll just.
I know. I love it. I need to buy a Darth Vader mask. Soon.
And people always forget, there's Brady soft, Brady's this, Brady that. If you remember before he got hurt in 2008, he took a lot of hard shots, Scott. Mm-hmm. He took a lot of hard shots, especially early in his career. He took a lot of hard shots and still got back up and went and played the next play.
Hey, listen, this is what I heard when the Patriots were really great before we move on. I'm rooting for the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but I just want to let people know A, B, C, D, and E. And it was like, all right, people say what you want. People say what you want. We'll just keep winning. That's all.
Well, yeah, like I said, I'm rooting for Kansas City because I hate Philadelphia with passion.
But
I mean, I have a soft spot for Jalen Hurts because he is my former quarterback. But other than that, I am rooting hardcore for Kansas City because
Andy Reid, regardless of winning or losing, is not retiring at all. There's zero chance of him retiring after a win or loss this next Sunday.
Unless he pulls a Liam Cohen and just be like, oh, by the way.
Yeah, because that's what Andy Reid will do. That's what Andy Reid set up to do.
Andy wouldn't do that.
Andy is not retiring at all.
We've seen him long. He's never been that type of guy. I mean, he got ousted in Philly. He was given a second chance at Kansas City, and he's made the most of it.
You got
he's not going anywhere.
Travis Swift retire, and then you do
Because
Andy Reid.
I could see Travis Kelce retiring.
What was the story
I doubt
with
it,
Andy Reid in Philadelphia? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Always
Yeah.
got to the NFC Championship game, could never get to the Super Bowl. Made one Super Bowl with Philadelphia, and when he finally left, he goes to Kansas City, and it started out as the same story. Whereas, the Chiefs can get there, but they can't get to the big one. You can't get past Tom Brady. You can't do this, can't do that. And then when they finally got to it in what was it, Super Bowl 54, that's like, okay, now we can put Andy Reid in the conversation of one of the greatest coaches of all time. And then he proceeds to win 2 more Super Bowls.
Tanner, he's not really saying it, but he's saying Andy Reid's success is because number 15 got drafted.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
kind of part of it. Like, you get the right guys underneath.
It helps when you have a good quarterback.
Let's go.
This isn't Chiefs talk, guys. We'll talk Super Bowl next week. I just had to bring that up. I was Tuesday night's record week.
Hey, look, the tribal chief is in in the building.
No, here we go. Here we go.
Shush you, would you please?
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said today, we have a huge slate here for NCAA basketball. We got, like I said, a pretty decent slate between NBA and NHL here to really go over. Good discussions, right? Good discussions. That's the whole point. We're looking at game lines, player props, and all the good trends here. So I'll be sharing my screen when we talk player props and all that. And once Coach Joe gets in here, we'll get Joe his 5 minutes for his bets here. What sport do we want to start, guys? NBA or NCAA?
Let's start NBA because NCAA is going to take up most of the show, I think, today. So
NBA.
I'd say we get NBA done quick. Yeah,
I'm down for that.
McNabb was good. Michael Vick was good under Andy Reid.
Yeah.
So. Andy Reid could basically take any quarterback and make him good.
Agreed.
That's right. So, moving on to our NBA. You know what, guys? I haven't done this for a while. Let's do this here. Let's do this. Let's pop this up. Boom! NBA bets here. This is what we're talking about today on today's slate. We got game lines. We got player props. Guys, you know what? Instead of spreading it out, I'm in for a free-for-all. I know there's a lot of matchups here. We do got some back-to-backs. I know Charlotte's playing again. This time Denver is on the road to them. We got Houston that is coming in with Brooklyn, Atlanta, Indiana, Orlando, Utah. Sacramento, KC, Miami, San Antonio, Lakers, New York, Phoenix and Portland, Washington, Minnesota. What do we want to start with? What game do we want to start with here as we look at both the game lines and the player props?
I'm going with the epic game of the night. Washington, Minnesota.
I knew it.
Minnesota's minus 15.5. I'm taking Minnesota minus 15.5. Washington is in full tank mode for Cooper Flag. Full tank mode. They will not take any chance to win this game tonight.
And they're not even going to win the lottery. Watch.
They probably won't. I love Minnesota tonight at home against Washington. I think they put a pounding on them, like a 140 to 85 pounding on them. I just think Washington is just the worst team, almost one of the worst teams in NBA history right now. So.
Let's take a look here. We'll just base off here the last 10 here. 4-6-0 against the spread for Washington, 5-5 on the over/under. Minnesota's 5-5 against the spread, 7-3 on the over/under. But you're looking at away games for the last 10 games, essentially at some good places. Utah, Phoenix, and you covered those games. Dallas, Memphis, you did that well as well. But at home, well, it's a little like 50-50 split here. Atlanta and Denver, you didn't cover against Atlanta, but you covered against Denver. And this spread of 15.5 here is the second. The last time they had a close to a 15.5 was a 14.5. January 13th. Guess where that was? At Washington. They did not cover that one. 120 to 106. Garbage time points that ended up coming into play of that game. That was at Washington too, but they still hit 120. This Minnesota team, and we saw Ant-Man go off against Utah the other day. This Minnesota team here can score points, can score a lot of points. And but we also know Washington can score a lot of garbage time points in the fourth quarter because I mean their lowest score is Toronto 82, but they're generally in the hundreds with these guys too. So I mean, if you trust Minnesota to throw up 125 to what 104, 103, then yeah, like you can go for it. But like, do you trust Minnesota to get into 130s? That's where this spread comes into play. It's not the blowout that's going to happen all game long. It's in the fourth quarter. Do you trust Minnesota to get to into the 130s so you can get this spread of 15.5?
I think what Minnesota needs to do is they need to avoid that 4-5 seed. They need to be in the 2-3 seed area because you don't want to play OKC in the second round of the Western Conference playoffs. You don't want to even see them until the Western Conference finals. Whether you do or not, it's a different story. But, with tonight's game, I think Anthony Edwards is going to go over his point prop and over his three prop. He's shooting 11 threes a game. If you're shooting 11 threes a game, I'm giving you ample opportunity to hit just 4 of them. So that's his prop 3.5. I'm going over that. So I love it now.
Yeah. Right now, as it stands, Minnesota is the 7th seed, so they're in the play-in tournament. They would be taking on Phoenix, who's also in the play-in tournament. I think I like that the pick, Scott, only because Washington, while they've played good at home, they've only got 6 wins total. While they've shown that they have fight at home, they have been abysmal on the road. They are 1-21 on the road, and going against the Minnesota team that can play good at home, they're 12-10 at home. I kind of like that 15.5. Honestly, I really do.
See, the two teams that I think are playing with their food in the regular season right now are the Celtics and the Timberwolves.
And
They're
Phoenix.
just using this, and Phoenix too, the 3 teams.
Yeah.
They're using this as like the preseason to get ready for the playoffs. Well, guess what? I don't want to be anywhere near the play-in tournament. I just don't want to do it because 1 loss and you could be done, basically, or 2 losses. So I think Minnesota's going to start playing better, and which will lead them into the regular playoff rotation. So
this will be Washington's 3rd game since being home off a 6-game streak road trip, 6 in a row from, of course, the West Coast trip, right? So now you're back on. You play Toronto, you play the Lakers, got blown out by the Lakers. You play Toronto, you got blown out by the Toronto. Like, you have not covered there, and now you're going back on the road to Minnesota. Yeah, no, I don't mind that 15.5 now. Speaking of that, I don't mind that 15.5 there, guys, ladies and gentlemen. So looking at that, honestly, too, 221.5. I like the over in that too.
Yep. I do as well.
And Minnesota is 1 game out from being at the 5 seed. So
so they're
one game separates them, the Clippers and Lakers for the 5 seed right now.
My question with the total is this: can Washington score 95 points tonight? Because if they can, then that definitely is going over. That would be my question.
That's the biggest thing, right? Is can Washington score, get close to that 100 mark?
Right.
And that's right. I mean, we already know Minnesota's going to put up 120 at least, I'd say.
Yep.
In that range. I'm just kind of looking here to what we got here. I'm looking at points here. So I don't know if you guys remember this screen from yesterday. So I'm kind of looking at the projections and what we got for streaks wise and all that, and everybody's kind of indicating like on a points current line here, hit rates. We got some greens with Washington, of course. 9.5 your line for Conley, 12.5 for Gobert. Edwards, it's 29.5 in that one. But if we go probably what points about 42.5 for Edwards in that state. I don't mind that.
PRA.
I don't mind that 42. I don't mind this 23 26.5 here. I know the projection on this site here is under, but I like Gobert having the over, and there's 26.5.
So when I look at Gobert every time in this PRA prop, I always act on the fact that he's going to get probably, a dozen rebounds every game? Probably something like that. So he's only going to score – he's got to score 10 points, 10 to 12 points every game to hit the prop. I think he can do that. I think he can. So
I think so too. And even if we look at rebounds and points, where is he? Gobert, 24.5. So it's not much different.
No, he could get 15 rebounds tonight against Washington. That should happen. So
yeah, last 10. I mean, he's small hit rate, but I mean, you're going to the 30th worst in versus centers. So there's no big true height in that.
That's my whole thing. Minnesota has every matchup across the board. Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, any matchup that you want to look at, Minnesota's got a distinct advantage at that position. So that led me a little bit toward picking Minnesota to cover the spread. So
yeah, I'm with you. I'm sorry, I'm writing down some that I'm seeing like Coolably. I wouldn't mind taking this one here. He's had a pretty good hit rate here within that one, and it's a smaller line for points rebounds. So I'm right there with you here. It looks like Edwards 3.5, like you said already. Assists, nothing major there. So now it should be an interesting game here for this one here for the Washington Minnesota game here. Let's keep it going. What's another game we like, boys?
Sacramento.
I was gonna say I like what is it? Sacramento OKC.
OKC. Yeah.
I like the under. I like the under.
I like a couple of props in that game too. Malik Monk over 5.5 assists. Number one, he's their starting point guard now. He's hit this almost every game he's started. And then Sabonis is at 15.5 rebounds. I like him to go over that tonight. He's a rebounding machine. He's and it's plus 100. So
right on that one. Yeah, that's a good bet there too. By the way, minus 15 on DK for Timberwolves instead of 15.5 if you want to get it now. Sacramento OKC, we got minus 7.5 right now. For OKC being favorites, 235.5 for your over under. And if we look at these two teams here, last matchup back in November, OKC rocked them 130 to 109. But I mean, last 10, 3-6-1 for against the spread there for Sacramento, 6-4 on the over under. OKC is 5-5 with an 8-1-1. Over under here, and there's we got all the trade talks underway there for possibly Fox going to destination, so there has to be some kind of issues.
Not only that, Tanner, Oklahoma City is the best defense in the NBA right now. They're only averaging 104 points given up, which is the best in the NBA right now. So this is the best defensive team in the league. They know how to keep guys from scoring.
And that's wild, right? Like if we look at the scores for OKC, I mean, they're allowing 109, 108, 115, 121, 116. Like it looks like high scores. You would have never guessed that they're one of the best.
For the first couple months, they weren't even allowing 100 points.
No,
they weren't even allowing 100 points in the first couple months. There's only like a couple games that they did that. There's even in the last month or so, they've given up. There's only been a couple games that have been like under 100 points. So they know how they've been very, very good on defense. And keep in mind, they're doing all of this without Chet Holmgren. Once Chet Holmgren comes back, it's going to be even better. Even better defensive team than what they already are.
What is the time frame for him right now?
I have not heard an update on that, but they're hoping sometime soon.
I thought it was he's going to start ramping up a little bit right after the All-Star break.
I think that's what I heard too. Is that,
and they're hoping to get him back first week of March, somewhere around there.
I think that's what I heard too.
Yeah, so he's going to have enough time in the regular season to get ready for the playoffs if he's fine, and that's another added weapon. And Allen's closer to the situation than I am. From the outside looking in, SGA has been on a major role scoring points.
He put up 50 in a loss the other night.
twice I think he scored 50 in the last like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be the MVP of the league, I think. I don't think there's any question about that. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. OKC's point spreads on these games is starting to creep up a little bit, which kind of makes me a little leery. And the second thing, I think the reason why I see these 100-point games is because garbage time in these games start in the third quarter. They're firmly grasp the game. So these other teams,
if you see OKC up by like 20 going into the fourth quarter, they're probably going to start resting some guys.
Yeah.
Because there's been a couple of games where they've gotten to 100 before the fourth quarter has started. So
let me ask you this here: Sacramento's in the middle of a 6-game road streak here. This is their 5th game on the road. They got Minnesota on Monday on the road. Is that we take this into account at all for the 7.5 spread? Like we like the 7.5 spread, right? Like I think
it's also the fact that you, like you said, Tanner, there's talks that De'Aaron Fox is going to be traded before the deadline coming up. There's talks that, maybe there's a couple more moves that the Kings might want to make. I know OKC there's been talks that they might make a move or two, which locally here, they've already kind of said that they're happy with what they have, which I'm okay with that because Hardenstein's been great for us. Caruso's been great for us. And again, once Chet comes back, it's going to get better. So essentially trade deadline, you're going to get Chet back. So that's going to be more than enough to kind of help the team pull forward.
And in my opinion, Tanner, what you said, they've been on the road for 2 weeks. I do not like teams on the back end of long road trips.
We're talking like just in one little area either. We're talking Denver. They started out. You went to New York. You had Brooklyn. You had Philly. Now you're in OKC, and then you got to go up to Minnesota. That's a lot of time on the plane. That's a lot of time away from home. That's tiring for guys. I know that's tiring for guys.
I think Sabonis hits his rebound prop because he just rebounds. He just gets out of bed and he's rebounding. And Monk hits his assist props. But I do not like Sacramento on the side. I lean toward OKC in this game.
So you mentioned Sabonis here on the rebound prop. He's hit that 50% here in the last 10 games. Last 5, it's been 60. But I mean, you got to remember too, no Chet. Hartenstein, is Hartenstein healthy? Is he back at it? Right, we're good.
Yeah, he's been playing. I believe.
Okay. Yeah, it's been off and on for him. He's on one of my fantasy teams, and it's been like, what the hell, dude? Like, come on, I need you out there. But I know as long as he's in, like, it might be a little tougher. But like, you don't have much really in this range for bench wise in Oklahoma City right now without Chet. So I don't mind that at all. Head to head wise, he's generally trying on the under, but these are all back, last year and stuff. So it's a whole different year with that. So you can't really pay attention there. And even if we look at some of the, odds on the sports books here, the under's coming in favored at minus 125, 142 in this range here for sports books. And we still like the over, right, Scott?
I love the over. He's gonna be in that area. All he's gonna do is play an average game tonight, and he's gonna be right in the area of 15.5. So gotcha. I like him to go over.
Then you mentioned Malik Monk on assist here. Oh yeah, look at that. 90% hit rate in the last 10 games. And we look here as well on the player props. Everybody, I mean, again, Caesars is trading on the under. BetMGM has the over. Oh, that's 6.5. So 5.5. We like the under over. Yeah, looks like it's your probably over is minus 135. So yeah.
I still like the over. These books are begging you to take the under.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it. I'm taking the over. Look at all the green on that for him. It's just he's going to go over. You can even ladder it up to 7.5. That's the way I feel about him tonight.
Look at this PRA, 80% hit rate the last 5 years as well. On the road.
Yep.
I
like that.
That's not a bad PRA either. So I don't mind that. Let's see here. Who else we got under DeRozan is always an interesting play. I feel like Like, he has 70%, but he hasn't hit it since they've only hit it once on the road so far, and that was the first matchup on the road against Denver. Everybody likes the unders as we're looking here. But if we look at rebound, anything? No, not the first basket. Even the PRA, they're really loving the under in this one. Yeah, he hasn't hit it. He hasn't hit this line.
No.
I guess maybe points and assists. Yeah.
The one guy I like a lot for OKC is Dort. I think defensively he's really good. So I think if he can get a steals prop, that is 1.5 or 1.5, I would tend to take that as well.
Right now, it looks like it's a half. Right now,
Yeah,
and BetMGM has a minus 190.
Yeah. Oh, so they're begging you to take the under on that, the over on that. So I kind of would take the over. I just think he could be the defensive player of the year in the NBA this year. He's that good on defense. Okay. So
I like that. Who else?
Underappreciated at times too, by the way.
No doubt. No question.
Mm-hmm.
SGA would be a guy you'd want to look at for PRA. I don't know what his PRA is tonight. I didn't really look at him.
47.5. He's only hit it once, or it looks like 3 times. Sorry, 3 times. Sports books are about even from what I'm seeing here. More FanDuel's favored more towards the under, but everybody else is pretty close to what the lines are. Pretty even on that, like minus 115, not even in the line range. I mean, rebounds, he's only hit his line twice at 5.5. His points, of course, we know he can go off anytime, which is like it's kind of also favorite. Points, rebounds. Rebounds is like the best way.
Are you looking at a blowout tonight? Okay, Sacramento. You're looking at a blowout, so that would curtail.
You're at home. You're coming off a disappointing loss to the Warriors. You know, you're heading into the All-Star break, trying to keep your momentum going. You got 2 guys going to the All-Star game.
Oops.
You want to kind of get that bad taste out of your mouth, and I'm sure Shea wants to. I know he had 52 points in that loss, but he wants to make sure that they get a big W at home tonight.
So that would make me nervous on player props for OKC in this game. Is if they're blowing out Sacramento, the tendency would be to rest SGA.
You could probably in-game bet this in the first half, probably.
Yeah,
that would probably be my best get. If you want to do player props in the first half, that'll probably be my guess. Because that's when they're going to try to go all out is in that first half.
Hey Trey Lyles, how you doing? I like that over. I like those green. I don't mind that. 3.5 rebounds.
Yeah, I do. Look at that. A lot of green in that too. Holy moly!
And he's hit it. He's hit it on the road every time by twice over 1.5 here on the 5 and 5.
So what that tells me? Look at that green. Look at that green. That's nice. So what that tells me is he's getting more playing time lately with the new coach. So that
let's look at his minutes here. 15. So yeah, he's it's about averaging the same.
Yeah,
a little under. His usage, I mean, even at 5 rebounds, he only 8.8% usage percentage there. But yeah, it looks like his usage has increased in a way, except for last game. But he's about the same on minutes.
I would think if Allen is right and OKC blows him out, that he may get more minutes tonight because it's a blowout.
And that's probably where the Denver game came at for Sacramento, is they were probably getting blown out there, right? Didn't they lose that one? I feel like they lost that one. I don't know why.
I think they did.
I'm pretty sure I bet on that one. So, yeah, no, I think it's potential. So, but yeah, no, those are some lines there, guys, to look at. Let's
the last one. I'll throw in a bonus one real quick. Wembanyama for San Antonio over his blocks and steals. It's at 3.5 right now. He had 6 blocks last night against Milwaukee. He gets this prop just on blocks alone sometimes. So Wembanyama is really a good blocks and steals type of guy.
Blocks and steals, yeah.
I like that minus 2.5 against Miami tonight too.
Miami's in
a whole bunch of mess with the whole Jimmy Butler stuff, and they haven't been able to kind of correct that course. I mean, they're technically a play-in team right now in the East, but the East is not as good compared to what the West is right now. So,
Right.
I think Wemby's starting to turn the corner a little bit. You're starting to see him be more of that superstar for San Antonio. Chris Paul has helped him a ton.
Yeah.
I could see them maybe making a move at the deadline to get another player in there to kind of help them and maybe make a late playoff run. And he's also going to be in his first All-Star game. So I like San Antonio tonight.
The only thing that worries me about Wembanyama is the back-to-back and how many minutes are they going to play him tonight?
Right. Because he put up 30 against Milwaukee last night. So
30 points, 6 blocks, bunch of rebounds, I think. So when he starts in the first quarter, you'll be able to tell if he's going to hit this prop just on blocks alone. If he has 2 blocks, he's into it defensively, and he's playing at an optimum level. So that's how I look at Wemby in terms of that stuff. So
I don't mind that there. And like you said, Alan, -2.5 at home off a back-to-back. I still think that they're definitely better there than the Heat. So, but yeah, any other NBA slates, guys, we want to do before we lock some bets in here on this one?
No, almost.
No, we good.
Down.
All right, let's do what we do best here. Oh, no wonder Witt couldn't find what he wanted. He had everything minimized. I tell you, no wonder he was trying to blame me last night. I know what he was doing. Guys, let's go ahead and we don't have to give many bets here on the NBA slate, but let's give a few for sure. Let's go ahead and lock these bets in here. Let's do our NBA. He shoot more jumpers, eh? I like it, Bobby. That's a good point. That's a great point, actually, in that matter. So, let's go ahead and give our locks here for the NBA slate. Scott, we'll go ahead and start with you, buddy.
So I'll just give you 2 player props and a side. Minnesota -15.5 is my side. My player props is Sabonis over 15.5 rebounds, and Malik Monk over 5.5 assists, as you saw with the graph. So those are my 3.
All right, Alan, you're up.
All right, I got a couple spreads, and then I'm going to do a over under here. I like OKC Sacramento under 235.5. Oklahoma City plays great defense, so I think they're going to have a good game defensively tonight. I like the Lakers plus 10.5 in New York against the Knicks tonight. I think it's going to be a lot closer game. It could come down to being whoever has the ball last type of game in a big spot like this. It's primetime ABC, so you know it's going to be a big one. And then I like San Antonio -2.5 against Miami.
I'll take that here. Let's see here. I've been scrambling, fighting with AI today, so let's take a look here. What I like. I've been actually pretty good on NBAs throughout the week, so hopefully it can go forward with the way we're doing it. The way I'm doing it today. Let's see here. Nuggets. Sorry, you're gonna get me live. Looking here at some of these matchups real quick, just to make sure I like what I like. I like that one. We're gonna go Nuggets 12.5 favorites. I like that one. Totals, anything big here? I'm gonna take that over Washington game and the Washington Minnesota game.
Over 221.
221.5. Yeah. I like that one there. And then props wise, let's see here. I want to go back. Get me out of here. Come on. How do I do this here again? If I can figure out what I want. PRA. Let's take a look here. PRA. Oh, there we go. We'll take Kessler over his PRA, which is 19.5 right now. So 19.5 PRA. So I'm writing them down on that. So I like those bets going to play. Let's shift, guys. Let's go ahead and shift. And while we wait here for Joe to show up, let's do some NHL bets. Now, I did hit a 18, 16. Well, I'll tell you what I hit yesterday. Yesterday, I did hit on Underdog a 5-pick of is this the one? No, never mind. That was college basketball. Oh, that was women's college basketball. I hit I won some money off of. So, not a bad time. But I did hit 4 out of 5 here the other day on some Seattle Edmonton game. That was actually a fun game to watch. So, but let's hop into some NHL. Let's do some NHL bets for the day. There's some decent lines going on. Sorry, I'm clicking stuff all over the place. I know for one, Scott's highlighting that Rangers Bruins game. He's got Bruins money line. He's got Bruins covering. We got the over.
Not a chance. Not a chance. There's too much. If you've been watching Jim Behringer, friend of the network,
that's a good point. He had something.
He had a lot on the Bruins in terms of Marchand. His name is on the trade block, and he's been a lifelong Bruins player. So that team's a mess right now. They're just barely in the playoffs. I like the Rangers today. I think the Rangers beat the Bruins by a couple goals.
By the way, Jim did post this 3 hours ago. If you guys can't see it very well, I'll try to bring it up more. Yeah, there we go. Whatever, that works. Basically, he says, new drop, another Friday night blockbuster. JT Miller traded from Vancouver to New York Rangers. And you can go to @Jim Behringer and you can find out his analysis. Yeah, you can find that out there with him. Yeah, that thing there.
So he won't play today because they just traded for him. But this tells you that the Rangers are going for it. And I think the Rangers will go into Boston today. I think it's in Boston. And I think the Rangers will win the game today. I just, I don't like how the Bruins are playing. I don't like how the Bruins are behind the scenes. Bruins have just gotten beaten twice by Buffalo and Winnipeg pretty handily. So I like the Rangers today. I'm on the Rangers.
I don't mind that. I think from that standpoint too, like Rangers are a nice play. It's only -125 too, even though they're on the road, it's not far. I like the Panthers puck line at -1.5. You can even probably up it to, if you can find 2.5 and get some sweet money. I think I like that one. From that standpoint, I'll
tell you one that I like, and I don't pay
attention to hockey
as much. But I like the Wild +125 on the money line tonight. I really do. I know they're in Ottawa, but this Wild team has been one of the best teams in the NHL this year, and they're 25-3 on the road.
I don't mind.
Yeah, give me that Minnesota money line tonight.
And I don't think Ottawa's as good as they've shown recently, so I like that a lot too.
Yeah, I'm taking a look here. So Nashville's coming off a back-to-back, but they were yesterday in Buffalo. They're now in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's not favored in this game. And look, I know
even money line right now is what's going for Pittsburgh.
If anything, I'm probably taking the over a 6.5. I'll have to see who's going to be named goalie there in that one, but it kind of depends on that one.
That's a love-hate relationship that Pittsburgh fans have been having, is because the Penguins either give up a lot of goals or they score a lot of goals. There's no in between.
There really isn't.
As somebody who's kind of followed them for the last couple of years, that's just kind of been how their team has been built. It's like you give up a lot of goals or you score a lot of goals, and that's just Pittsburgh Penguin hockey right now.
I'm looking here. Yesterday, I don't see anybody else that played last night that's playing today, so it's just Nashville on the back-to-back here for that. So
So the Penguins are a perfect in-game betting because of what Alan said. If they start off slow, they're not going to score very many goals. If they start out fast, they're going to score a lot of goals. So I would say halfway into the first period, you'll basically know what Pittsburgh is going to be about today in the game. So
that's been kind of their MO, as I mentioned, the last couple of years. They've been struggling, especially at the goalie spot, because there have been times where they don't give up. They're a hit or miss. Is basically like Scott said. You have to bet this team in game because you don't know what you're going to get from the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I know I talk to Bill all the time about this. I talk to a lot of Pittsburgh Penguins fans about this. It's been frustrating. It's been frustrating because you barely got into the playoffs 2 years ago, and you barely missed out on the playoffs last year by one game. All you had to do was win one game, but you gave up. I want to say they gave up 5 goals in that last game, and they ended up getting knocked out, kept from making the postseason. So it's just one of those teams where it's like they can score a lot, but they also give up a lot, and you don't know what team you're going to get.
Yeah, I was looking here. It's true. You don't. I was looking here. Let me get back to my screen. I was looking at some player props. So Eric Norton's bets hasn't posted nothing today, so he's probably at work. But hopefully we'll get him in some point. But if we look here, like this is the Boston game I was talking about. Rangers are one of the worst. By the way, it was shots on goals, particularly shots on goals. They're 30th. 28th. Sorry, 28th. I might be 30th against Wings. But like Passionate got here. Shooting like crazy. Sure, he's had a bad goal for lately, but I mean, he usually has a pretty decent game against the Rangers, and that was a better Rangers team last year than what they're this year. That's something I like here. I mean, his last 20. I like this hit, and then there was another one for Boston. This that one. Oh, sorry, hang on. My filters got out of line. There's Passionate, and then. I think it was Geeky. Yeah. So it was Geeky here. He's been actually hitting fairly well, pretty close to the line of 1.5 shots. I don't mind this here. Last 5, he's been pretty active. If we look here too, his shot attempts, he had 6 against Winnipeg the other day. Shots on goals, he seems to be. 4-4, 3-6, 3 shot attempts. Like I'm
with 1.5. Yeah, I am too. With 1.5, you're not asking a lot. Basically, what it is if he gets one shot in the first period, it's a pretty lock it in that he's going to cash it.
Yeah, and look at his minutes too. Like he's on the ice. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's on the ice.
Yeah, he is. And the thing is, if Marchand gets traded, you want to bet his shots all the time because he's going to step into the Marchand role where he's going to be the guy that's counted on for more offense. As it goes. So you want to watch that really closely and you want to pay attention to what Jim has to say because Jim's usually pretty spot on even before it happens that something's going to happen. So
right. And then I was looking here at goal or saves here and then, today's game starts at noon, the Chicago Florida game. That starts here in about 7 minutes, but 20.5 is the line. I'm okay. I'm okay taking the over in that one. I think Chicago still shoots on them. I think so. Chicago's going to do their best. Hell, I'll even take the 23.5 here. Hellebuck, Thompson, and Wolf as it's just an over there in that matter. Yeah. So pretty high percentage here as well. If you can see the hit rates over here for the goalies that are so far announced, official at least wise. Looks like nobody's duplicated. Yesterday there was a couple. They weren't sure who was starting yet. Looks like they might have actually got it solidified. So, but yeah, those are just some goalies there that I liked as on the over as well from player prop standpoint in the hockey world.
I even like the Chicago goalie because I think Florida is going to put a ton of shots on them. Florida's going to win the game 5-2 or something like that. And if they do, they're getting a lot of shots on the net. So I think they're going to hit 35 shots, which means he's going to get 28 saves.
Back in November when they played. 32 saves in that one. We look. It's in the end, you're one of the worst teams, and so you're gonna get that. The sports books are saying the same thing on the over as well. We got 29.5 on MGM right now, so and that's still a minus 120 line. So yeah, if everything looks right, I mean it's definitely leaning that over there in the end.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
pretty cool spot there. So all right, guys, let's get into it here. Where you at? Let's go ahead and lock it in. Let's lock in our NHL bet so we can get to the huge slate here. Massive slate coming up here. So NHL bets. Alan, I'll let you start, man. What do you got here? 2 to 3 bets. And nothing crazy.
I like the Wild tonight, plus 125 on the money line. All three of mine are going to be money line bets. I like the Wild plus 125. I'm going to go on a limb here and I'm going to go Calgary minus 120 on money line against who are they playing tonight? Against Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one's going to be the one I'm going on a line on because this could go either way, but I'm going to go Toronto plus 120 money line against Edmonton tonight.
Ooh.
Now that should still be a good match here.
I think it'll be a great matchup. Both teams are 30 win teams, so
and they're both playing well. They're both playing well. That's the thing. I don't mind that at all.
It could go either. It could go either way. So if it doesn't,
that's another deal. Right, and that's another game. Just real quick that I'm looking particularly at when I'm starting to go do my underdog for the evening side, underdog and price picks or whatever. Like that game there is going to have plenty of opportunity there for a shots on goal, but also a lot of opportunity, hopefully for line wise on the unders for some of that too, on the assists and points and stuff. So, Scott, you're up, man.
Those are my three.
You got the Rangers on the money line over the Bruins. I have the Panthers over the Blackhawks. And my third one will be
money line Panthers.
Money line, yeah. My third one will be Panthers for 1 goal first 10 minutes.
First 10. First 10. Love
First
those
10.
props, man. I love those props. All right, I'm kind of right there with you. I got a couple props here. I'm just yeah, we'll go with it here. I know it starts here in 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, but we are going Florida minus 1.5 puck line for that one. We are also going wow, I can't even read my own handwriting. Draisaitl over his shot goals. I believe it's 1.5 right now. Shots on goal. Where are you at, Draisaitl? Yeah, 2.5. Over 2.5 on the shots on goal for tonight on Edmonton. And then Fieri, yeah, for LA. I like the over is 1.5 shots on goal as well today. So there's a couple of player props there, and I'm just double checking here to make sure I haven't missed nothing from Mr. Norton. And nope, he has not posted nothing. So make sure you guys go follow Norton's bets because I'm sure he usually posts stuff here in the morning. So he's been hitting pretty spot on with his NHL bets. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you know it's time. One of the biggest slates, rivalry week for most. We're getting into it here. It's NCAA bet time. And we already got great games going on here. Alan, do you got a score update here? What's going on with these 11 o'clock games?
Yeah. Low scoring game in Tennessee right now. 24-21 at halftime. What is going on there? Crazy game. Providence St. John's, number 15 St. John's down 1 point to Providence right now, 21-20. Pittsburgh and Wake at halftime, 36-34. Washington, Minnesota at halftime, 40-30 leading for Washington. Fordham and St. Bonaventure. St. Bonaventure up 30-16 as there's about 7 minutes left in the first quarter of that game. But those are the live games going on right now.
I like that St. Bona. So St. Bona's up. I got that one today. Already rolling. I got Tennessee.
You got
rolling.
at least a few games that are about to start kicking off here as we get to the top of the hour. Missouri, Mississippi State, Arizona State, is another one that's about to get underway. Everybody's favorite, the Green Bay and Detroit Mercy, where both teams combined for 9 wins on the season. Villanova Creighton's a good game that's about to get started, looks like. And then, Clemson, NC State could be coming on here in the bottom half of the hour. So some decent games.
That we do. And, Missouri's been one of the hottest teams out there in the SEC. Multiple wins already, upsetting multiple people in that range. And quite frankly, to me, they're one of the hot teams for me. I know there's also Nobody U facing Green Bay again today, Scott. Sure that's up your ranks, right?
I'm already on it. I got Detroit Mercy -3. Already on it. I don't trust him.
Big game for us today too. At home, 2.5-point favorites against a red hot Vanderbilt team coming into Norman today.
Oh yeah.
This is a big game. This may not look it on paper, but it's a big game for both teams today as far as tournament seeding goes.
We got some games here definitely to cover. Like I said, massive slate today. As we take a look here, where did my Creighton go? There he goes. I was like, where the hell did they go? And then I like that. Sorry, I'm putting in a quick parlay because I forgot to do this one. Oops. So let's talk about it, guys. Let's dig into it. Where do we want to start? Because if we started at 11 o'clock slate, I'll tell you what I had real quick. At the 11 o'clock slate, I have Minnesota -5.5 at the beginning. This is all early this morning. Minnesota -5.5. I have Tennessee covering their 4.5. I had Wake Forest at -3. So now I gotta go back to it. Where you at? There it is. 4.5 for Tennessee, -2 for Wake Forest, who's down 2 points. St. John's had -14. They're down currently with 37 seconds left. Or no, they're only up by 2. Minnesota -5. One of the better, our hottest teams it seems lately in the Big Ten there is down 10 points to Washington at Minnesota. But St. Bonaventure at -10.5 there. I got currently, and like Alan said, 33-18 there at half. So anything? I think that was majority of the games for 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I had Florida +5.5. I got it right when it popped last night. And I also had the under in that game because my feeling is for Tennessee to win that game, they're going to have to slow it down. They're going to have to play. It's going to be a rock fight, so to speak. And sure enough, it's panned out that way.
45 total points in the first half, Scott.
Tennessee does not have the firepower to keep up with Florida if it's an up and down, back and forth game. And Tennessee's missing a starting point guard today, and that's never a good thing for a college team. So that's why I went to under. I just thought that it was going to be a rock fight. So, and Arizona State are playing a 10 a.m. game out there, which boggles my mind why they would schedule a 10 a.m. basketball game.
Yeah.
So you might hit the under. That might go under because who wants to start at 10 a.m. local time in any game? So that game might be slow. That might be first half under, slow to start for both teams. So.
Right. Yeah, that 12 o'clock slate or 1 o'clock your time, Scott, 12 o'clock Central here. It's pretty wild, really, in the end. And here's the thing too, like I don't understand, and maybe I'm just missing out, but like Creighton Villanova, I know it's at Villanova, but Creighton's not even favored in that game,
which is strange, which is completely strange.
They're on a 4-game win streak against these kinds of this kind of matchups. Oh my lord, where are you at? There you are, matchup. I looked it up today because I was confused on it. Yeah, they're 12-7-2 ATS. They've Creighton has beaten Xavier. Seton Hall.
Vegas probably thinks that since it is Villanova at Villanova, that it's going to be a trap game.
Yeah, what trap game are they looking at? The Providence kind of trap? Are we talking about a UConn style trap game?
Well, we know Villanova's one of the big names in the Big East too, so that's probably what they're thinking. But
it just went to 2.5, so I just jumped on Creighton. Plus 2.5.
Creighton is 8-2 in the Big East this year. So
yeah,
every stat line for them says take the plus 2.5. It seems like unless we somehow, some way get it in a miraculous game from Villanova today, I just don't see a world where they cover that.
I don't see it either. Like, granted, yes, I know Villanova beat UConn. That was back January 8th. That was the start of the year, guys. Like, they haven't done.
UConn has not been that impressive this year. They really haven't.
No.
You could say that it's probably lower from the national championship game, but no, this is not typically how UConn plays basketball. They have been kind of subpar this year, and
they have. So I'm looking at the first half. I'm on DraftKings right now. They have Villanova's team totals in the first half at 34.5. Really? Villanova? I don't think so. I just put under on that as well. It's minus 125. I think Creighton wins the game by at least 7 to 10 points today.
I do too there. The 12:30 game, Central 1:30 game as well. Clemson, North Carolina State. Clemson's 5.5 favorites right now. This is at North Carolina State. Yes, I'm aware. I know like what the deal is, but North Carolina State, they only lost by 10 against Duke. They lost to SMU. They lost to Cal, the VTech. I mean, they haven't won jack. At the same time, they've only covered 2 of the last 5. 2 of the last 5. And we're talking 3 points, 6.5 favorites. They were 6.5 favorites at Cal. They were a favorite at VTech. They covered against UNC. They covered against Duke. Because they were 22-point dogs at Duke. Clemson has covered 4 of the last 5 there. They didn't cover against Syracuse as 16-point dogs, but they covered an 8.5. They covered a 6, and they covered a 7.5. I mean, 5.5, guys. At minus 108.
This is what I'll say about NC State. They're getting way too much respect based on what they did last year.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
It's a different team.
Yeah. Freaking NC State.
It's a different team. It's not the same ACC. I get granted the ACC is down. I get that. It's not one of the top 2 conferences in basketball.
You only have 2 teams in the
Clemson's
ACC
a really good team. Clemson's a really good team. I've watched them play twice. I'm very impressed with how they're coached and how they play. Give me Clemson in that game. I think Clemson wins the game pretty easily. Pretty easily.
Yeah, so. There's 2 ACC teams that are actually ranked right now. I believe Duke is definitely one of them, which we'll probably get into that game later.
We will
later
on. Yeah.
Carolina's terrible. Carolina's terrible this
year. Yeah, and then it's like one other team. I'm not even sure who it is. I think it's like Louisville is the other team that's ranked out of the ACC this year.
It is Louisville. Yeah, Louisville's been playing.
Clemson's going to jump. Clemson's going to jump up there, I think, eventually. But yeah, I'm not sold on NC State this year, and they better not do what they did last year in the tournament. I'm gonna be stupid.
They won't. They got taken. Everybody got taken by surprise by NC State last year. It won't happen again.
They might not even make. They might not even make the tournament this year.
I don't think they will. I don't think they will. By the way, quick breaking news here on the NBA side of things here. Per Shams, Clippers are trading PJ Tucker, Mo Bamba, and a future second-round pick and cash to the Jazz for Drew Eubanks and Patty Mills. So, finally got some trades starting to break off.
Yeah, Patty Mills is a good pickup for the Clippers, I think.
So, all right, let's hop into this 1 o'clock slate here, 2 o'clock Eastern. We'll hit some big games here. I mean, we got the Wisconsin Northwestern going game, South Dakota State, North Dakota game this today as well. What else we got here that's going to be decent?
Florida
Army,
State, Boston College.
Army and American. Army and American. We're going to talk about that one. That's for sure. Bucknell Navy could be an interesting betting standpoint. in this game. K-State, Iowa State, Florida State, BC, Auburn, Ole Miss, Drake, Southern Illinois. And then we pop into the 2:00. So, I mean, we got some big games, right? K-State and Iowa State, Florida State, BC, Auburn, and Ole Miss are some of your bigger matchups here. What do you guys here like in this 1:00 slate?
Iowa State rebounds, I think, today. They got beaten by Caleb Love in Arizona on a fluke three-pointer, and then they just didn't have anything in overtime. So I think Iowa State bounces back. I think they need to. They need to win as many games as they can to keep a 1 or a 2 seed. So I like Iowa State a lot today.
And K-State's here's the thing too. K-State's brought it the last couple of games. They beat West Virginia 73-60. They beat Oklahoma State as well. Now, granted, these are home games in Manhattan, right? And now you have to go to Iowa State, who, like you just stated, Scott,
is great at
kind
home.
of slumped. It's kind of slumped, right? They lost to West Virginia. They beat UCF. They beat Arizona State, but now you lost to Arizona. So what kind of game do we get where we're at? I mean, it's 14.5-point favorites. Like, look, I don't like the Kitty Cats any more than I like the Cyclones, but
yeah,
that 14.5 that's rich, man.
So I'll split it. Iowa State's going to win the game, but I think K-State's going to cover.
I think so too.
So
I have a hard time looking at that. That
K-State has been a lot more competitive than their record suggests.
Well, they weren't beginning of the year. So a lot of this issue with their record early in the year, losing to Liberty, they lost to some bad teams. They were not a good team. They weren't, I mean, they're not built to be world beaters by any means, but they weren't built to be bad. And they're starting seeing some stuff come to life here in the last 5 games for these guys. I think they're starting to connect here in that rank. So like they've been bad, but I don't know about 14.5-point bad.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a tough, especially in a Big 12 game.
Yeah. I'll give you a team in this time slot that I think could struggle today. Auburn. They're going to Ole Miss. It's an early game. It's a 2 p.m. Eastern game. They haven't put a clunker on the board all year long. Chris Beard's a really good coach. This could be the game that Auburn struggles to score. Not saying they're going to lose, but 6 points against Ole Miss at Ole Miss is a lot of points. So I like Ole Miss
trap game for sure. Trap game for sure for them.
Yes.
I agree with you, Scott. I do think Auburn's still going to win because they're just that good. But I think you could see Ole Miss kind of take it to them here early on, and they may get flustered a little bit before they finally wake up.
See, Ole Miss though isn't exactly making this a trap game either. You struggled against Texas. You lost to Mizzou. You lost to A&M. You lost to Mississippi State. And you're not covering games. You're 5-5. You're 3-7 on the under. Yes, Auburn's not covering games either. They're 4-6, but they're playing the likes of Tennessee, Georgia, and they're winning those games, right? They're winning these games. They covered against LSU at -12, which I think we talked about that one at some point. So, man, I don't like 5.5-point spread. I'd take the 5.5 for Auburn. That's a low spread. It's not. If it was closer to 10, sure. We could definitely.
Here is Auburn's upcoming schedule. This is their next 5 games. You're at Ole Miss today. You host Oklahoma here on the 4th. Then you have Florida at home, go to Vanderbilt, and go to Alabama. You essentially have, well, minus Oklahoma, you essentially have 4 ranked teams and another one who could possibly be ranked. It's 5 games in a row.
So for me, I think Vanderbilt's played way over their head. I think they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. So I just think that Vanderbilt.
Hopefully starting today, right, Scott?
Hopefully, because I picked Oklahoma, Alan. I'm on Oklahoma today. So I think Vanderbilt's going to come down to earth a little bit. So I don't see that. But Tennessee and Florida, they could give Auburn all it can handle. So I tend to think that Auburn may be looking ahead to Tennessee and Florida and even Oklahoma. Oklahoma's played really good basketball this year at times. So
I do not envy the end of that schedule either. You look at the end of their regular
and I'm
season.
sure they get Alabama in there someplace too. Auburn,
yeah,
Alabama.
you end the season with Alabama at home, but before that, you have to go to Texas A&M, to Kentucky, and have Ole Miss at home. Those are your last 4 games.
Realistically, the next, if they get by Tennessee and Florida, I think Alabama could get them at the end of the season.
You only have to play Florida. But that's in the next couple games.
Right.
You don't have Tennessee on your schedule. You beat Tennessee the one time you played them, but you still have to deal with Alabama. You still have to deal with Texas A&M and Kentucky. You have Alabama twice, actually. So that's even.
But Tanner, I'll ask you: do you think Auburn's the best team in the country? Because they've beaten some really good teams.
Yeah, no, I think Auburn's the best team in the country. Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree.
The only major loss that they've had all season was to the team that's ranked right behind them, and that's Duke. That's the only loss that they've suffered.
And that was a close game, I think, if I remember.
84-78, only a 6-point game.
Yeah. So they've been in every game.
Foul shots, right? So
you have wins against Houston, Iowa State, North Carolina, Purdue on your schedule, on your non-conference schedule.
That was earlier in the season, though. That was in Maui.
They're the better. They're the better team.
It's still impressive. You have wins against really good non-conference opponents. Yeah. Loss, and your lone loss was only a 6-point loss to Duke. So this is, I agree with Scott. This is the best team in the country by far.
Yeah, it is easily the best team there. And so, I'm taking that 5.5, guys. I'm not falling for this whole like Mississippi's going to give them a struggle. They can't even cover half their crap and win games. So I'm taking Auburn. I'm taking Auburn in this one. Easy. Another one I want to touch base here. Another one that's given me has profited off of kind of like football season, Scott, just like football season. Army and American going at it. I don't know about you guys. I know American owns the series right now, but Army is not playing as bad. And they've at least covering, right? They beat Colgate 84-72. They lost to Navy, but they beat Holy Cross. They beat BU. They beat Lafayette. They beat Lehigh. They beat LMD. I can't remember the full name there. Really, they're outside of Navy. They're pretty phenomenal. They're 7-3 the last 10. This is a team that's really figured it out here. And I get Americans 13-9, and they've beaten the same teams, except for Navy as well. Like, I love this team. I love this Army team here. And I took the money line. I didn't really take the 4.5. I took the money line. I think Army has to win this game. Plain and simple.
Yeah, we know it's a one-bid conference for the NCAAs. Yes. So Army has got to win to get higher in the conference, the conference standing. So, yeah, I think American's been lucky the last few games. I've watched some highlights of them. They haven't played really well. They don't play great on defense. They play solid but not great. So I think Army can expose that, and I think Army is very well coached. So I'm with you. I would take Army on the money line.
I think the matchup I'm curious to look at too is this Navy Bucknell game. Yeah. I know, guys, these aren't the prettiest of teams you're looking for, but this is usually where you find the value at in the end when you're looking at matchups and spreads and all this stuff. Like, we look here at Bucknell Army. Again, Bucknell's won the last couple, but Bucknell lost to BU, Colgate, and they lost to Navy back on the 18th, 73-69. Navy is they're on a 3-game win streak. They had a pretty rough stretch there at the beginning of January and in the mid-January, but looks like they're back on it. And I mean, we're only coming two games removed from the Bucknell game, or not the Bucknell game. I'm sorry. 3 games removed from the Bucknell game. So now you're at home. It's a 2.5, 3-point spread. It's somewhere in the range, depending on what book you're looking at. I like them covering today.
Yeah, I do as well. I think that, again, every team goes through their stretch and their bad spots, and it's how they come out of it. And Navy has come out of it pretty well. So I tend to lean, again, I lean toward Navy again. I just think that they're going to get going here. They're not going to struggle. Eventually, they're gonna get it together. And today would be a great spot for them to have it together to play. So I like Navy.
Yeah, like Navy. I'm right there with you. By the way, your Florida-Tennessee game, 34-26 here with 16 left to go. So Tennessee's up in this range. Let's talk. Let's go to the next hour. Let's go to the 2 to 3. So 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. Just from betting games here, Utes Cowboys could be an interesting one to look at. New Mexico State, Western Kentucky could be an interesting game to look at. 2:30 mark, Vandy, Oak Sooners. Well, we'll definitely take a look at that. Michigan, Rutgers, Louisville, Georgia Tech, and that kind of sums up your 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern time frame. So let's pop into this first game here. Let's talk about this Utah OKC game here. So now I got to start scrolling to find all these games.
So many things. Jeez.
It's insane. I keep forgetting. I hit the wrong button. Otherwise, I'd be back at the same spot. All right. So we're looking here at the OKC. Wow. Oklahoma State. -1. Over-under is 148.5 here. If we look here at Utah, Utah's 4-6 against the spread, 4-6 against win-loss, and they're 2-8 on the over/under the last 10. Oklahoma State 3-7 in the win-loss, 3-7 against the spread, 4-6. Oklahoma State coming off a 3-game losing streak here. Arizona, Texas Tech, at Kansas State, and they looked awful the last 2 games with Texas Tech and Kansas State. But you got a Utah here scoring outside of the Houston game where they only scored 36 points. They did beat Cincinnati 69, nice, 66, and Baylor 61-76. They lost to that one, which I think we all kind of picked on that one. But overall, their Big 12 record for Utah isn't as bad as I was anticipating it to be. And I know they haven't played the best either, but Oklahoma State, man. Wow. Just disappointment.
Yeah.
I feel like 148.5 is a lot of points.
It is. And I think the under would probably be the play on that. Utah's an inconsistent team, but Oklahoma State, they're not good, I don't think. And I think Utah can go to Oklahoma State and win the game in a low-scoring rock fight type of game. Again, like Tennessee and Florida right now. So give me the under and give me Utah. It's basically a pick 'em.
It really is. It really is. I mean, -108 for the money line over your +1 at -112. Like, I like them. I like them in that range.
I agree.
Let's see here. What was it was New Mexico State, Western Kentucky. I thought this was an interesting one because you're looking at the reigning champs of, I believe Western Kentucky won last year in this division. I am way far away from that. Let's pop back in here. I must have passed. There it is. I always like New Mexico State because they're always an interesting team. So 12-9, 13-8 record-wise. But if you look here, New Mexico State 5-3-0. Western Kentucky is 4-5-0 against the spread. Western Kentucky's 2-7-0 on the over/under. 1-7-0 on the over/under for New Mexico State. We're at 142.5. These guys haven't hit. They've hit above 138 one time. That was UTEP for New Mexico. And we're talking about unders of 147.5 or more, 145 or more on the unders here. So 142.5. They're trying to get the right line for these guys. That's a rough, man. That's a rough one. At -2.5 favorite stuff for Western Kentucky, I'm kind of leaning towards them in a way.
These are the tough games. These are the tough games you bet.
But there's so much value because they're so, short and stuff, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I appreciate you.
I like what I'm with you. I like Western Kentucky. I just can't buy in New Mexico State right now. They need to show me something on the road in order to beat a good
You're
team.
right.
Western Kentucky seems like they're a good team to me.
They're playing
a little bit, but
UTEP back in January 11th was their biggest win on the road, and that was 85-57. But I mean, 59-52 FIU. They lost 68-68 Liberty. Middle Tennessee 60-57. Like, I'm with you. There has to be something here. And Western Kentucky's played a lot of road games here, but they generally looks like they've won their home games. So I'm kind of with you in this matchup here. I like this game from a matchup standpoint. I like the -3. I like the fact that it's low, essentially, and yeah, I'm with it on that here.
I'm almost tempted to go the under 142.5. I think if Western Kentucky wins, it's going to be in the 50s or low 60s to win the game.
Exactly.
So I think the under could be a great play in this as well. So
yeah, I don't mind it. Hey, like I said, they're trying to find Western Kentucky on their over under, and it so far it keeps going down. So
yeah,
we have the next big game, 2:30 p.m. Central, 3:30 Eastern. Vandy at Oklahoma. Alan's favorite matchup for the day here, I'm sure. Back on the 26th. That's 19. Never mind. Don't listen to me. 6-4-0 against the spread for Vandy. The last 10. Oklahoma's 4-6-0 against the last on the spread of the last 10 here. 3-7 over under for Vandy. 6-4 on the over under for Oklahoma. Last 10 there. 3.5 point favorites for Oklahoma. Are we buying it? Are we buying it?
I'm going to buy it. Vandy's bubble's going to burst here. They've had some great wins. They played some really good basketball. I think it ends here. I think Oklahoma beats them. So I'm on Oklahoma.
Right now, Oklahoma's on a tournament bubble, I would say. I don't know necessarily if they are a bubble team right now, but as of right now, the way that they've been playing, you've had some tough games again in the SEC. Your 3 losses were to all-ranked teams in teams like Alabama and Texas A&M. You played Texas A&M really close in a game that you probably could have won had it flipped. Had it been in Norman instead of College Station, you probably win that game. And Oklahoma's got a really good home crowd in games and situations like this. Even in 2:30 games, they usually get a big crowd in there. So
right.
I think there's a good chance that Oklahoma could pull off the upset today against Vanderbilt. Because like you're riding high. I get that. Vanderbilt's had a lot of great wins the last couple weeks. But then we see at times, we've seen it in college football, we've seen it in other sports. If you're riding high, you're gonna crash. You're gonna crash at some point, especially if you're one of those teams where on paper you're not quite as talented as some of the teams that are above you in that ranking. So I think there's a good chance that maybe Vanderbilt lets out the gas today and they get caught.
And the other thing I'll say, 2 things I'll say about Oklahoma is their schedule's about to get lighter, which will help them get off the bubble. And secondly, if you can find a sports book with NCAA tournament with NCAA teams in or out, I would bet Oklahoma in the tournament. I think they'll sneak.
Yeah,
they'll sneak in.
Let's not forget the last 2 years they were the last team out. The last 2 years they were the very last team out. They do not want that to happen again. They're going if their schedule pertains it, they're going to try to make sure that they don't let that happen again.
No, I'm with it. I'm with Oklahoma in too. So, what are we taking, guys? Are we betting this game? I'm not betting this game. This is honestly, this is the one that's like Vandy could take over the game. It could be a 1-point game, or Oklahoma could do what they did a few weeks ago. So,
for the thing that Alan just said, Vanderbilt has beaten some really good teams, and they've had some wins that weren't expected. I think they come down from that. I like Oklahoma a lot today. I think they beat Vandy by the spread. So, I
mean, in theory, Vandy took down Kentucky, took down Tennessee, took down South Carolina. The last, the 3 out of the last 4 games, and Oklahoma lost to A&M, beat Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas sucks, but beat A&M, beat South Carolina, lost to Texas, lost to Georgia. So like, there's evidence on both sides.
All three of those losses were really close games too. All three of those losses to the one loss that they've had in conference that wasn't even close was Alabama. Alabama blew them out of the door. Okay. Other than that game, every conference game they've played in has been really close.
You taking your guys then? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm taking Oklahoma.
Yeah. All right, hop into the next 2:30 game, Michigan Rutgers, guys. -7. I'll be right back. Go ahead and what are you guys thinking on this one?
So Michigan, in my mind, has come out of nowhere. No talk in preseason. No talk of them being even close to the top 25. They've been there. The games at Rutgers, I believe today, teams go and struggle at Rutgers. For whatever reason, that building doesn't bring out the best in teams. I'm going to lean toward Rutgers. So I think 7's a big number for Michigan to come up with. Again, and I'm going to go on the premise. I've watched Rutgers play at home, and I've seen teams go in there and struggle. So I think Michigan today struggles at Rutgers, and I think Rutgers covers. I don't say they're going to win. I just think, and I'm past 2 years, I've watched Rutgers play at home, and they've seen the play defense at home better than on the road. So I'm going to say Rutgers covers.
If I told you that Rutgers has won the last 3 matchups with Michigan, would you believe me?
Probably not. Probably not. It's happened.
That gives me more last hope. Last year in February, the 3rd and the 29th, Rutgers beat them, and then March 9th, 2023, Rutgers has beat Michigan the last three matchups.
Wow.
You would have thought.
Case in point to you, Scott. The last game they played at home was a top 10 team in Michigan State. They only lost by 7.
Yep.
They played them tight in that game. They played them tight in that game.
For whatever reason, Rutgers has been on somewhere in the Boston area on TV, and I've watched them a couple of times, and they just play better at home than they do on the road. So they call it the rack. So I just think that Rutgers is going to play really well today at home.
And this is recent home games too. These are recent home games, which means that it's going to be a tough sledding for Michigan today. I do think Michigan wins, but I don't think they're going to cover.
Right.
All right, let's try to wrap up here in the next 10 minutes, guys. Let's talk about this 3 o'clock on. What matchups are we looking at the rest of the slate for this late afternoon, evening games that you guys want to talk about?
Kentucky, Arkansas. Calipari's coming back to Kentucky, Rupp Arena. What reception he gets, I don't know. As you just said, Tanner, Arkansas is not a good basketball team right now. He does not have the team he wants.
Minus 9.5 points.
Kentucky puts a big number on them. I just think those Kentucky players are going to be extra motivated to run Arkansas out of the gym tonight. And I think they do it. Kentucky's a really good team that nobody's talking about right now. So
I agree with you. I think this is a blowout game. I think Kentucky drops a 15-16 bomb. Now, I'm not betting them because I lost all respect for Kentucky in the last 2 years. So I'm betting because they should have won games and they didn't. So yeah, I'm not betting it. But if I wasn't having such a grudge on them, yeah, I'd take the 9.5. I was going
to say, Scott, it's kind of like Jonathan with the Minnesota Twins. Lost all respect for him in the last 2 years.
Well, I'm with Tanner. I've been on Kentucky. Yeah, I've been on Kentucky in some big spots in St. Peter's, and they have not served me well.
I mean, hell, there were matchups last year where they should have blew them out. Like it was set up, everything was set up, indicating that way, and they just choked like they normally do. So I've stopped betting them. So I refuse to bet them. I have a grudge. I'm plain and simple. I don't hold grudges much, but Missouri and Kentucky, yes, I know they're my rivals in a way, but man, they've blown some matchups for me where I'm like, yeah, you guys stink. I ain't betting. I think from that standpoint, if you guys are betting Kentucky here, I'd take it, run with it, get it while you can. It's minus 115 at MGM. I know probably a couple other books that's around that minus 110 still. So
the other game that I don't think it's going to be close is Duke, North Carolina. I think Duke's going to blow them out. North
That's going
Carolina's
to be a blowout too, man.
Small in the backcourt. I have nobody to guard Cooper Flag tonight. I just see Duke putting a huge number on North Carolina. It's a rivalry game, obviously, so you can throw records out. But when you look at both teams' rosters right now, North Carolina had trouble beating Boston College. They had to go to overtime to beat them. That tells you everything.
13.5. Yeah, 13.5 point favorites. Like, I'm taking that. I think they beat them by 20.
Yeah, I am too. I just think Duke is probably either the second or third best team in the country right now. So,
yeah, I'm watching one of the second or third best teams in the country right now play Florida, Tennessee. So, Tennessee, freaking awesome. So, what do you?
Just great.
Right. Yeah. And Alan, what are you thinking?
I don't think they're going to win the game today, but I like Texas Tech plus 9.5 at Houston today. Houston has had a lot of close games in conference other than a couple blowouts. I know they blew out Utah and then they blew out, I want to say, West Virginia. They've blown out West Virginia twice. But you look, Central Florida on the road only won that game by 3. You look at Kansas, of course, that double overtime game. There have been a lot closer games this year than they probably would have liked. And Texas Tech is not a bad team. They're probably one of the better teams in the Big 12. This is a team that can take it to them on the road. So I like Texas Tech plus 9.5. I don't think they'll win the game, but I think they're going to give Houston a run for their money today.
I don't mind it, guys. I don't mind that at all. By the way, give me the Dons late tonight, 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern against Washington State. Washington State got beat by Pacific twice, okay? And San Francisco is actually a better team than that, and it's -5 right now. They probably win by 12 or 15. Washington State's on the road. It ain't going to be pretty. I like that matchup there from a spread standpoint. Give me the Notre Dame over Miami, -7.5. I love that game. What about UConn Marquette, guys? Marquette's favored 5.5 right now in that game. That's a big game there for UConn particularly.
I actually like Marquette tonight. This is not a UConn team, and they'll get in the tournament. They'll be a 6, 7, or 8 seed, but this is not the Connecticut we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years, and I just don't think they have enough talent. And Marquette's very well coached, very disciplined. Don't turn the ball over. Don't beat themselves. So I think Marquette wins the game tonight. -5.5 is right on the border of what you want to go.
If UConn does win tonight, Scott, I think it's a season-changing win. I think it pulls them in the right direction. But I agree with you. I think Marquette's a much better team than what they are right now. UConn will probably still get in the tournament, but I like Marquette a lot tonight.
I'll give you 2 West Coasters tonight. I think St. Mary's beats Gonzaga tonight. St. Mary's is underdog plus 1.5. Gonzaga has not played well in the last 4 to 6 weeks. I think they get taken down tonight. The other team that I've been on the last year and a half, and I'm trying to find out what the spread is right now, is Grand Canyon. They are a really good team. They're coached by one of the Drew kids. It's -10.5. Utah Valley's the top team in that conference. Watch Grand Canyon again. They're getting healthy. They got their stud back. He was injured for a couple of weeks. It's -10.5. It's a lot of points, but I just like Grand Canyon. They put up a ton of points in games. So I would look at their team total more than I might look at the side, which is I think Grand Canyon is at 74-75. But I would go with Grand Canyon tonight. I think they win. So,
okay. Anything else, guys, from a college football standpoint?
I like McNeese over Nichols College today. That 9.5. That -9.5. McNeese 16-5, 10-0 in conference. A lot of their out-of-conference losses have all been close games, including to some SEC teams where they lost close. This again, last couple of years, this was a sleeper team. that came out of nowhere and made a little bit of a run in the tournament. Don't be surprised if you see this team make a run again. This is a really good team. This is a really good team.
I'm down for it. All right, gentlemen, let's do it here. Let's lock it in. Let's lock in our bets here. Again, 3 to 5 bets here that we lock in. These are the bets that we're essentially guaranteeing that are gonna hit for you. Scott, we'll go ahead and start with you.
So I will stay off games that are in progress right now, which means I can't.
That's what I'm doing too. Yeah,
I can't take Detroit because they're playing right now over Green Bay. I like Kentucky tonight. I think Kentucky puts a big number on Arkansas. That's the first one. I like Oklahoma a lot today. I think Vandy's bubble bursts today. And
okay, money line, or do you think spread?
No, spread. I like them to win by at least 6 or 7. And the last game I'll go with is Maine +2 over Vermont. Vermont is not a team they usually are in conference. Maine has won 6 of the last 7. They're playing really good basketball right now. So give me Maine +2 over Vermont.
Okay. Alan, what do you got?
I like McNeese, as I said earlier, -9.5. I like Texas Tech +9.5 against Houston. I don't think they'll win, but I think they're going to keep it close. And then I'm not going to do that game because I think Tanner will probably talk about it. I was going to pick Kansas, but I'm not going to steal Tanner's thunder.
Why would I ever pick KU to do?
Why would he ever talk about Kansas? Jeez.
You know what? Let's go Marquette. I'll take Marquette too.
Money 5.5.
5. I'll take Marquette 5.5.
Okay. Good. Okay. All right. Well, you took my Marquette one, so I'll scratch that out. All right. We're gonna go the Dons -5. We're gonna go Notre Dame -7.5. We're gonna go Liberty -3.5. We're gonna go Michigan State -4 at USC on that one, and then I'm taking KU money line. Like, drop it, baby. I don't try. No, we ain't taking no spread. We're taking the money line. We're either gonna win or we're not. So,
how'd you know?
That's plain and simple. So
I don't know. I had a feeling. Just call it a hunch.
Baylor isn't played the best this year. This isn't the same Baylor team we've seen in the past. So, and KU also isn't the same, but they're better than what they are. If they do the right roster, we'll be fine. If they do the right lineups, guys, we'll be okay. But they'll probably piss me off later tonight, so it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Scott, you had some other bets going on. What you got on those real quick?
So we'll go lacrosse, and if you don't think I've studied this, you're crazy because I have studied this. Any bet I make, I
believe
study. Syracuse is the number 2 team in the country. They're playing Jacksonville. They're favored by 8.5 goals. I'll take Syracuse. They made the tournament last year. They're really good this year. So I think Syracuse covers that 8.5 goals. The Singapore final World Tennis, I'm 2-0 in tennis bets. I'll go with Elise Martin's money line to win that. She's been playing really well. I think she dropped like 1 or 2 sets the whole tournament. So I like that one. Final one is another tennis bet. I found this on FanDuel, which is interesting. To win 2 or more Grand Slams, Yannick Sinner is -175. He's already won 1. So all he's got to do is either win the French Open, Wimbledon, or US Open. And he's really good at Wimbledon. So I like Yannick Sinner to win his 2nd Grand Slam tournament. And that'll cash the bet for you. So those are my other bets. I know Alan had a water polo bet, didn't he?
Nope.
No water polo bet. No.
There we go. Guys, no football, but we got tons of stuff still bet on. So, I mean, we'll talk Super Bowl stuff next week for sure. We'll make sure we get it all in for you all next week there. But quite frankly, we'll be back tomorrow around the same time frame, maybe a little earlier. Maybe we try to get some of these 1:00 games in. It isn't as big as a slate. I know that the slate is not as massive, so we should be able to get through most of these games pretty quickly, I'd imagine. So, but make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow. Make sure you guys go check out our Tuesday night show, the Rec Room Weekly. Go check out last night's In the Hoop with Alan and Whit and the guys there. It's a good show. We got a lot of stuff good going on. So make sure you guys like and follow, and we'll be back tomorrow. We'll catch you guys. Thank you again. We'll see.